There are cameras everywhere, and they can like see you, and they kind of can. If you have like Chinese phone, they can see what you're doing on your phone.
It's us.
People like they have like this weird misconception about China just because like the media hates China, so they think like being here is scarier. It's like I'm going on vacation in Thailand this Sunday, man. It's like I can come and go as much as I want. It's like I'm not afraid of anything. So yeah, man.
You know what it is, man? Because I keep hearing a bunch of different rumors and things about China, where supposedly the government like monitors everything you do, and there's cameras. I'm sure there's a bunch of cameras everywhere. I'm sure there's that, but I don't know if they monitor everything you do. Is that true, or is that like a myth? Or
There are cameras everywhere, and they can like see you, and they kind of can. If you have like Chinese phone, they can see what you're doing on your phone. But like on an individual level, it's like, do I think that the Chinese government is watching me? I doubt it. I'm not really an important person like in China, and I kind of want to keep it that way. I feel like only if you're like a celebrity in China, will you have to worry about this kind of stuff. But if you're just like a normal person, it's like no one really cares about me. Um, yeah, pretty much. So like during my daily life, I never think about like the Chinese government. I never think, oh, someone's watching me. I never think about any of that stuff. But if you look at like what people say in the news and the media, they act like that's like a big concern or something. That's like but basically it's like less than 1% of my thoughts.
so, how about TikTok in China? Because there's another myth that's going around about China with TikTok, that supposedly in China, all the videos that they put out into the feed are like helpful videos, educational videos. Like they don't throw nonsense. Like for example, what they do here in America, where you'll open up a TikTok, there'll be a girl twerking or a challenge or whatever they're doing. Is that true about China?
I mean, they desexualize the Chinese TikTok a lot. You can see lots of videos of women dancing around, big boobed women dancing around, but it's like they do censor it a good amount over here. It's not like in America where it's basically pornography on like TikTok. I feel like whenever I open up American TikTok, I see some random video of a woman like twerking or shaking her boobs at the camera, and it's like you're not gonna see that so much in Chinese TikTok. I don't necessarily think it's educational, but I think like they basically is a lot less sexualized, and also people don't argue about politics all the time or kind of social issues. Like in China, on Chinese TikTok, things are pretty mellow. People aren't really arguing about stuff, like how in American TikTok people are always arguing about race issues, gender issues. So, but Chinese TikTok is a lot more mellow because like there's kind of less. Those topics just aren't really acceptable to talk about in China for the most part because it's just not an issue over here, or it's not a big enough issue where people are arguing about it.
So I'm assuming politics is one of those topics that's not talked about over there.
Generally speaking, yeah. Because I mean, when there's only one party, it's like there's not really much to talk about. Like there are a couple debate teams I've seen in China. Pretty much the only thing that debate teams in China aren't able to debate over is politics. That's pretty much it. So it's pretty interesting, like seeing like Chinese people, because I think politics is like the thing that people love to debate about, but it's like in China you can't really do that. So
I'm assuming you get in trouble for that over there if you talk about politics in detail or debate over it.
So during COVID, I heard that there were many people who were very critical of the Chinese government. There are many Chinese people who are like criticizing the government. So like in small groups, I think it's more common for people to have these kind of discussions. But like having like a big seminar with tons of people and like having a political discussion, that's kind of not allowed. But like in like small groups, like yeah, people do talk about politics. Yeah.
Interesting. So there's another thing I want to talk about, and we're going to dive into culture. So in terms of the culture in China, how would you describe it? Because here in America, I feel like The culture is about work, 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 work. Like it's about kind of like living to work instead of working to live in America. How is it in
Mm.
China? Is it like a hustle bustle culture out there, or is it different?
So the life that Chinese people live and the life that you're gonna live as a foreigner is probably different. As foreigners, we have it a lot easier. We can make money a lot easier than Chinese people, and we can don't have to work as hard as them. So that's one thing people got to keep in mind. So for me, my lifestyle is pretty chill. I don't have to work that hard if I don't want to. I worked it pretty hard this year just because I was trying to focus on some goals of mine. But like really, um, you can have like a slower pace of life over here if you want. That's pretty cool. I recently read this book called Slow Productivity, and it kind of talked about what you're talking about, like kind of having a career that kind of benefits your life rather than takes away from it. So, like for work, a lot of people consider work to be like kind of a pain. But if you can organize your work and your life in a way that, what, you can take things slower, enjoy things, it's just a lot better long term for life enjoyment. You might make less money, but you might enjoy your life more. So it's kind of a trade off.
So how about the American dollar in China? Like, is there advantages to making USD in China?
Um, most of the money I make is Chinese money, and I just transfer it to my American bank account. But yeah, the dollar does stretch pretty good over here in my city anyway. And yeah, there are advantages to making dollars. I mean, it's pretty good conversion rate. Um, yeah, I mean, if you can do it, it's pretty good.
So the
But
cost.
also,
Yeah, my bad. Go ahead.
oh, I mean, so like with English teaching, you can make a pretty high salary, and the money you make is going to be higher than like the average salary of a local Chinese person. So it's like when you can do stuff like that, it's kind of, it it shows you can live a pretty good life because you're making pretty good money over here. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was very curious because I think one of the main things that attracts a lot of expats or passport bros to specific countries, especially in Latin America, is the cheap cost of living. So I was just gonna ask how the cost of living is in China, and I think you answered it to a degree with the U.S. dollar being good in China. So what's your overall opinion on the cost of living in China? Is it expensive? Is it cheap? Is it in between? How is it in China in terms of cost of living?
Cost of living in my city is pretty low. I mean, I got an apartment right here in the city center, one bedroom, one kitchen, one bathroom, one living room. Cost me about $430 a month. Pretty good.
$430 a month?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I've been
You
living
got
here
a
for like
whole
almost.
apartment. You got a whole apartment.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh shit. Damn.
I mean, my apartment's kind of crowded, but basically, it's pretty big size.
430. I
I'm
don't
pretty
like that,
happy
bro.
with it. Yeah, I like it. But basically, yeah, man. With the money I make, I'm living pretty good. I mean, I'm able to go on vacation. Like I'm going on like a half a month vacation starting aside. Yeah, I'm going to Thailand and then I'm planning on Bali. And I teach English online, so I'll be teaching English for like a couple weeks at the second half of July. And maybe in August, I'm planning on going to Kazakhstan and Mongolia. I really want to check out those countries, see what it's like. But yeah, man, honestly, it's pretty good over here, man. I don't have any complaints. The money's stretching pretty good, and I don't drink too much. My one thing, I probably spend a lot of money on food and health supplements. So like, I'm really big on health, so I spend a lot of money on health stuff. But other than that, it's like, it's not really, money's not too big of an issue.
So how has your life benefited from living in China?
Man, basically, I feel like, especially because I chose this city, my life goes at a slower pace. So it's kind of like I get to enjoy life. Like, I still feel like a college student. I feel pretty young. I'm 32. I still feel like I'm in my 20s, man. It's like I'm not stressed. People look at me and say, "Oh man, you don't look like you're in your 30s, or you look like you're in your 20s." And I think it's just because I live like a kind of stress-free life, a healthy life, good amount of rest, beautiful women. It's just like a good life, man. And I meet people all the time who are my same age, who are like stuck in America, or maybe they never left America, and it's like their life is a lot lower quality. They're like less happy. So I basically see what my life would have ended up like if I had stayed in America. So yeah, man. Yeah.
So I like what you said there, man, because I think there's a lot of brothers right now in the United States that want to make that move. They're itching to make that move, man. They just don't know how. Like I've seen a lot of men that are, like you said, in their 30s, but they don't look like they're in their 30s. They look like they're like in their 50s because they're aging from all the stress, man. Like being on that hamster wheel, working day in, day out, working 7 days a week, working 2-3 jobs to maintain their lifestyle. You know what I mean? Just to have a shoebox of an apartment. And not even go out. They have to like be in their crib all day, every day, like if it's the freaking pandemic or something, like that's freaking hibernating in the wintertime. You know what I mean? But what tips do you have for guys that are looking into getting out there and moving to a different country? What tips do you have? I know it's a broad question, but I think who better to
Um,
ask than you?
yeah. Basically, just be open. Like like what country excites you? How can you find a way to finance the trip and get the time? That's why I always recommend English teaching, because like you'll get the money and you'll have the time to travel. So that's like the fast path, and you can kind of test out different countries.